Marcie Michelle was more than a rock singer. She was a living testament to truth, courage, and transformation. Born Mark Edward Free on April 12, 1954, and passing away on October 23, 2025, her life was a melody of triumphs and tribulations. She was best known as the powerful voice behind King Kobra, Signal, and Unruly Child, bands that defined an era of passion, rebellion, and self-expression. But beyond the lights and fame, Marcie's true story was about the journey of becoming herself. Her path began in Flint, Michigan, where music was both her calling and her escape. Even as a teenager, she carried a voice that could shake walls and stir hearts. At 19, driven by a restless dream, she left her hometown to chase destiny. In 1975, she arrived in Las Vegas, singing in small clubs, refining her craft, and preparing for something greater. By 1979, she moved to Los Angeles, the city that would shape her career and test her soul. In 1983, fate introduced her to drummer Carmine Appice, who had recently left Ozzy Osbourne's band. Carmine was struck by her energy and that unmistakable voice, a mix of thunder and silk. He invited her to join his new project, King Kobra. What started as a drummer's experiment soon evolved into a powerhouse band, with Marcie's voice commanding every stage and studio they entered. By 1984, King Kobra had signed with Capitol Records, and Marcie was living the dream she had chased since she was 19. The band released Ready to Strike and Thrill of a Lifetime, both of which carved their place into rock history. Her voice, soaring, emotional, and fearless, stood out in a world dominated by men. But even in success, she felt a pull towards something deeper. By late 1986, she walked away from King Kobra, searching for a sound and purpose that felt truer to her heart. In 1987, Marcie joined forces with producer Peter McKeon and musicians Eric Scott, Mark Baker, and Jan Uvina to form a new project under EMI Records. The group became known as Signal. Though Marcie originally suggested the name Unruly Child, the idea was dismissed for the moment. Signal released one brilliant record, Loud and Clear, in 1989. The album showcased her emotional depth and vocal brilliance, but poor promotion left it overlooked. EMI dropped the band soon after, and Marcie once again stood at a crossroads. From that ending, a new beginning took shape. In 1990, she reunited with Bruce Gowdy and Guy Allison, creating a group that finally took on the name she had envisioned years earlier, Unruly Child. Their chemistry was lightning in a bottle. Signed with Atlantic/Interscope, they released their self-titled debut album in 1992 and became a masterpiece of melodic rock. Every track carried passion and precision, and Marcie's vocals tied it all together. Powerful yet deeply human. That same year, she performed the anthem, To Be the Best of the Best for the film Best of the Best 2, a song that echoed her inner strength and perseverance. In 1993, a compilation of her earlier recordings titled Long Way from Love was released in the United Kingdom. The album captured a side of Marcie that was intimate and raw, filled with longing and reflection. That October, she performed at the Gods of AR Festival in Manchester, where her performance became legendary, a night of pure emotion and connection with her fans. When Unruly Child lost their label deal, they rebranded as 12-Pound Sledge, hoping for a second chance. Though those recordings never reached the public as planned, the creative sessions led to her 1995 release, Tormented, a project born from pain, change, and self-discovery. The music was darker, more personal, and honest to the core. But behind the music, Marcie was fighting a battle few knew about. For years, she had lived with a painful secret that her outward identity did not match who she truly was inside. In November 1993, she made the most courageous decision of her life. She came out as a transgender woman and embraced her true name, Marcie Michelle Free. It was a decision, she later said, between life and death. If I had continued living as Mark, she once shared, I would have died for sure. Her transition was a rebirth, but it came at a cost. The same industry that once celebrated her turned away. Many friends and colleagues distanced themselves. The phone calls stopped. The gigs disappeared. But Marcie never surrendered. She worked humble jobs as a courier in Los Angeles, living quietly but truthfully, no longer bound by pretense. By 1995, she returned to Michigan, choosing peace over fame. She lived a simple, quiet life surrounded by family and authenticity. During this time, she faced another battle, alcoholism. It was a long, dark chapter, but around 2008, she found light again through faith. In her own words, she developed a close personal relationship with God, which led to sobriety and inner peace. In 2009, destiny called her back to the stage. Marcie reunited with Bruce Gowdy and Guy Allison to resurrect Unruly Child. Signed to Frontiers Records, they released Worlds Collide in 2010, a stunning return that reminded the world of her unmatched voice and spirit. Her vocals had matured, filled with the emotion of someone who had lived, lost, and learned. In 2014, Unruly Child released Down the Rabbit Hole under their independent label, Unruly Records. The title perfectly mirrored her journey. Through chaos, beauty, loss, and rebirth, her voice had evolved into something richer, more soulful, carrying the message that authenticity is freedom and truth is its own reward. Marcie's personal life was filled with both love and pain. She married Laurie Richardson on June 24th, 1989, a marriage that later ended, but one she always spoke with warmth and respect. In later interviews, she admitted to the loneliness that followed her transition, describing how many people she once trusted had turned away. But she refused to let bitterness define her. Instead, she became a quiet beacon for anyone searching for self-acceptance, proving that peace begins the moment we stop pretending. Her bravery inspired countless fans, not only those who love her music, but also those who saw in her reflection of their own struggle for identity and belonging. Marcie taught the world that real artistry isn't about charts or awards, but about truth. When Marcie Michelle passed away on October 23rd, 2025, she left behind more than just records and memories. She left behind a legacy of authenticity, resilience, and love, the kind that outlives the person who carried it. Her story continues to echo in every heart that ever felt unseen, every artist who ever felt misunderstood, and every soul brave enough to live truthfully. Her musical influences were vast, from Aretha Franklin, whom she often honored in her album notes, to the Beatles, the Beach Boys, Led Zeppelin, Grand Funk Railroad, Smokey Robinson, and the greats of big band music. She absorbed everything, harmony, storytelling, emotion, and transformed them into her own signature sound. Her voice could roar like thunder or whisper like a prayer, carrying equal measures of fire and tenderness. Marcie Michelle life was, in the truest sense, a song of freedom. It was sometimes joyful, sometimes painful, but always honest. She walked through storms and rejection, yet never allowed her light to fade. Through every lyric she sang, she reminded us that truth is music, and that to live authentically is the highest form of art.